Here we are, another episode of Smoking Section Podcast. We have the one, the only Eddie from Eddie and The Getaway. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing, Marcus? I appreciate
Uh,
you having me on here, man.
of course, man. This has been a long time coming. I've been hearing your name for quite some time from one of my friends. He talks about you all the time. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
I appreciate it. Let's go.
So, so let's just start. So we're gonna basically do two episodes here, all right? So this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna do two episodes. So this first episode is pretty much about you. Um, what's the origin story behind the band Eddie and The Getaway, man? What's the origin of that name?
Yeah. Man. So for me, music has always been something that is like an escape, and then also at the same time, I always loved bands like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and when it might be one guy who's kind of leading the charge, but also at the same time, everyone who's in that band, everyone that's a part of it, is just as important as the main guy and stuff like that. So I was like, what kind of sounds cool? It was kind of a last second thing a little bit, but it also at the same time was like, hey, music can be a getaway, it can be an escape, it can be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, it's kind of where Eddie and The Getaway came about, and also my last name's kind of hard to pronounce and read, so I was like, let's just do this, man.
That's crazy. You make it easy for everybody else, you know. It's crazy though. I mean, you're right because music. I've always told people music is supposed to. It's universal language, and it's supposed to be, you know, a way for us to all come together and let go of our outside problems and things like that,
So
and be
true.
able to unite and things like that. So that's great. That's a great way of. I'm surprised no one has ever used that name before in a way for that way.
I appreciate it, man. No, I totally agree. I think that music just has like the power to be, it doesn't matter what background you come from, what you believe, what you don't believe, what you look like, anything like that. Music can be something that everyone can be a part of.
It's crazy. I mean, in the climate that we're in right now, so it's like that's we all need music right now to kind
So
of just
true.
like unite us right now because that's kind of where it's at right now, unfortunately. But no, you're absolutely right. And it's just the way it is. It has to be. We have to be united by music. Doesn't
So true.
matter. We all talk. We all love music, and there's always a love for music. I haven't met any person who hates music. If they do, there's
Me
something wrong
neither.
with them.
It might be a sociopath. They don't like any kind of music. Who doesn't listen to music?
Music, even metal. I mean, you got to listen
Yeah.
to something. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, what else has been going on with you, man? You're getting ready to release a new album. Well, it's already out at this point. A new album, new EP.
The EP comes out actually Friday, so
Yeah.
we got a couple days. Yep.
So, how crazy is it that you're releasing this? Does it feel like it's a relief?
It does. I think because of kind of my background with both country and rock, I think having something that that's always a conversation of like, everyone likes to put you in a box for the most part. It's like, oh, are you country or you rock, man? Like, what? You can't be both or whatever. I used to have meetings with labels in the past when I was a little younger before I kind of started putting out music myself, and it feels good to be able to put music out that just feels like me. Whether some songs go a little bit more country, some go a little bit more rock, and then somewhere in between for some of them as well.
Yeah, like you're so. Who were your influences on your music? Because I can tell you, I hear. I was listening today, and I can tell you, I hear a lot of 2000s rock.
Yep. No, you nailed it. Yeah. I grew up on that stuff. It was music that I'm 25 now, so I guess when it was coming out, I was a little bit young to be listening to it and stuff like that. But I definitely like as I kind of started on this like venture of trying to be an artist and putting out my own music and stuff. That bands like Creed and Nickelback and Daughtry and Third Eye Blind and anything that's in that like late '90s, 2000s rock was definitely like at the forefront of inspiration of stuff that I kind of grew up playing guitar to and stuff. So I can't help but you know kind of
What wa-
put a note to them.
what was the moment? So, who'd you see first in concert?
I saw Coldplay was the first concert I saw. I was 8 and it was on the Viva La Vida tour. And
Yeah.
the only reason why I got to go was because my parents were going with another couple to the concert, and the wife of the other couple got sick that day. So they were like, "Oh, what should we do with the ticket?" And I was like, "Oh, let me go, let me go." So I went to that show. First time eating Chinese food, dude. I got spicy food. It was epic. I only remember that. I remember eating a spicy food and then watching the confetti go down and just seeing like the power of that band. You know, also like bands like U2 and stuff that I've been a massive fan of. Just like you were saying before about like uniting people and not caring what people's backgrounds are or anything like that. Just songs that
Right.
speak to people. It was just it was an amazing experience.
That's crazy because it's I Coldplay was just on tour and they just had a Nashville stop, and the craziness is I live downtown, and I typically cannot hear any, like I can't hear a Sin and I cannot hear like I couldn't hear Nissan Stadium. Whenever there's a concert going, I can't hear it at all. Um, Crazy. I'm sitting here one day just on a computer and I'm humming Coldplay, not realizing that I'm hearing it. The reason I'm humming Coldplay is because I'm actually hearing it
No
from
way.
the football stadium. And I'm like, this never happens. Like
Yeah.
I'm hearing like that's how loud it was that I'm hearing you at least 2 miles away, 3 miles away.
That is crazy, dude. Yeah, I remember driving back. We were coming off the road for that show. We were driving back into town because I think it was might have been a Saturday or Sunday night. We had like some shows earlier that week, and I remember pulling into town. I was like, dude, why is there such bad traffic at 11:30 at night?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
Coldplay was playing. That's why they packed out 82,000 people, bro. Gosh.
Oh man, it's insane. Especially here in Nashville, like 'cause I forget who it was. Oh, when Taylor Swift played here, they have traffic was bad for like 3 hours
Yeah.
afterwards.
Insane, dude. So many people.
Oh my god. Oh god. So so who out of your family, like was who've you talk about your parents taking you to see Coldplay, you know, did they have any influence on you growing up in music at all?
Yeah, they totally did. I think it was like, I think when you're younger, at least for me, whatever they listened to, so like it was bands like U2 and Coldplay and that stuff, and then you know you start getting a little bit of testosterone, you go through puberty, and then you want to rebel. So what I do, I listen to music that I was like, oh, this is gonna piss them off, even though they liked it. Like I thought like Nickelback and like those kind of bands were like, oh, this is gonna ruffle their feathers a little bit and shit, but they
Right.
liked it too, which is funny because I thought I was being a badass by listening to it, and they're like, "Oh no, this is great music." So I think yeah, my dad was always a big music lover, same with my mom, and then my uncle who's not not blood related, but it's like my mom's sister's
Uh
husband.
huh.
He was the only one in my family who really did anything with music. He had like a band in high school, and I remember going over to my cousin's house, and he had like an acoustic guitar and a drum set and a keyboard and stuff kind of in the basement. So I used to go down there, you know, when I was over at my cousin's house and just try to play stuff, and that's kind of what really inspired me a lot, was seeing those instruments and just being like, wow, this is so cool. Like, you just bang on stuff and make noise and stuff. So
That's crazy. I mean, it's amazing when you have that family around you that's just able to like encourage you to do things that
totally.
and teach you and have you learn things that you don't normally want to learn. It's like, oh,
So
because
true.
I'm sure there were days where you're like, oh, I don't want to play no drums. I don't want to do this. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Totally.
I'm sure there's days like that because there's days like that when I'm trying to play guitar. I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yep. No, totally. No,
I
it's
don't
so
want to do
true.
that. I want to go outside. Can I go outside and play for me?
Yeah, dude, 100%. I feel
So,
that.
so what was the moment that you knew that because you had your family members going, you had your uncle teaching you, and you had your family members influencing you. When was the moment that you knew that you wanted to be an artist?
I think I saw when I saw you two for the first time. That was it was on my mom's birthday, and we all went. My little sister was there too. She's 2 years younger than me, and I think I was maybe 11 or 12 at the time. And I remember seeing that show. And there's a song called "Where the Streets Have No Name" by you two, which is like probably one of my favorite songs of all time. I even I got a tattoo of it.
Wow.
And I remember seeing that show. My sister got pulled up on stage actually in Arizona where I was living at the time, and she got to run around with Bono. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, Bono was trying to pull me up, but I was a fat little kid, so he couldn't pull me up. You know what I mean? So he pulled my sister up instead, and I remember my mom being like, "Are you okay? Like, are you sad that you didn't get to do it?" And I was like, "No, I want to be the one to pull somebody up like that, because it was such an emotional experience for like my sisters and my parents. Is so beautiful, just like to, just those songs like have so much weight of what they mean and what you can, listen to them. And the weirdest part is when I moved to Nashville for the first time, or the only time when I moved to Nashville, when it was right before COVID hit, was like a month before, and I didn't really have any friends, so I was like 19, couldn't go to the bars. I got my fake IDs taken at Red Door and like all that shit, and so I didn't really have any friends for like a year because I couldn't meet anybody because it was all shut down. And I remember listening to "Where the Streets of No Name" like all the time, and it was the song that like gave me that hope in such a hard time. And I was like, man, I want to be able to make music like this one day that can impact somebody like this song has impacted me right now. So that was really the moment where I was like, I need to be doing this.
It's crazy because you go back to how many times have you seen YouTube? Because I've noticed that you said that the first time you saw YouTube. So how many times have you seen YouTube?
I think I was maybe like four times or something like that.
But it's crazy because it's like that had such an impact in your life, because it's one of those where it's like you're going back and forth, and you see this artist, and they're going to have the same set. It's just going to be shuffled around.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't matter at that point. At that point, it's just you're going for the experience. You're going because every time you're making a different memory every show. And I get that's what you want to do. I think that's what every artist wants to do.
Absolutely.
With their shows. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of the reason why I've been to Kenny Chesney show since 2005.
Wow.
But it's crazy because it's like Kenny plays the same set. It's the same set, just shuffled around. He might added one or two songs, took out one or two songs, but it's the experience that you get while you're there as to why I've kept going back. Not to mention it's free tickets now. But anyway.
That always makes it better. If you're ever having second thoughts about going to a Kenny Chesney show, you're like, I'm going. Yeah.
Going. Oh, man. So as you're getting into artistry and you're starting out, what was your game plan? What was your game plan? Like what was your vision? Like did you have the big picture vision at that point in time, or did you just want to come and just like, I'm just going to write and figure the fuck out?
Yeah. I think so. I grew up playing shows a lot in Arizona because I'm born in Michigan, but I grew up in Arizona. So there's a lot of bands out there that were quite a bit older than me, like a lot of the 90s bands like the Jim Blossoms and those kind of bands that I luckily kind of like accidentally met and kind of showed me the ropes and stuff. So I think that, I'd seen like how it used to work, which was like write great songs, try to tour, and then get signed. You know what I mean? But then now, right. And then especially doing with the kind of music that I do, which is, some of it's like very provocative, and something like a lot of it would never fit on country radio. So
yeah.
I think when I moved to Nashville, the guys I came up with now are, they're all killing it in their own right, but at one point we all were not doing anything, whether it be like, my buddy Grant Baum or Bailey Zimmerman or Bo Bailey, who's a fantastic writer, Cole Miracle, like those guys, like we all had nothing going on when we first met each other, and seeing what that has become, I think it's so cool to be able to just see the progress of like learning. And I think that was the big thing for me, is wanting to move to Nashville, because I knew the best writers, the best, in what I wanted to do were all there. So I think I knew I wanted to move to Nashville, so I did that. Worked a bunch of random jobs at, different restaurants, would go on the road and sell merch for people, and just trying to basically afford and put everything back into the music. So I always had the big picture, but the hardest part about having the big picture is then figuring out, well, we're at day one right now. What does that look like? What do I need to do? So I think just working backwards, which was write songs that were real, that people connected to, and thank goodness for social media, because I wouldn't be talking to you right now, Marcus, if it wasn't for social media. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
the only reason
yeah.
why those songs got out there. And then, I grew up playing shows, so that was kind of the reward of, being able to be on this tour right now that we're on, which is a 40-day tour of just, you know, playing the show was the reward, but also knowing I got to put in the work. I got to put out music that people like and just stay consistent with it. So I think that was a long-winded answer, but
that's a great answer. It's a great answer because, I mean, the music industry is definitely one of those where it's like you have to learn as you go.
Absolutely. There's no rule book. There's no
There's no,
syllabus for
yeah.
it.
I keep telling people, and I'm just like, you can go to college and all that stuff, but and that's all fine, well and good. And you can learn the book starts of it, but like in reality, my grandma used to say the best experience is teaching.
That's so true.
It's the best experience is real life. So it's like, it's one of like you have to learn how to do things and in real time, not have to read a book about it or what, because the book is not going to tell you go knock on the door at this publishing company, go down the road and knock on these doors publishing companies, go knock on the door of this record deal. Like, that's not going to happen. It's not going to tell you that to do in a book. It's not going to tell you how to network and become friends with people and the writers and things like that you have mentioned. So, the music industry is very real life experience in a way where
so true.
People don't understand. People outside the industry don't really understand.
Yeah, it's confusing. Even being in it, half the time I feel like I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But you're learning every day. But it's the industry where you learn something new every single day that you can take and use to promote your music, to promote, social media is changing all the time. Algorithms are being changed, features being added, features being taken away. So you have to stay on your toes with social media, especially someone who's like you who got discovered because of social media.
So true.
You have to do that. So I want to know something about you because I'm learning a whole lot about you because it's the first time we've interacted, first time we met. So I'm learning a whole lot about you. But you released your first song, "Drive Away," in 2020. You co-wrote that song. I'm curious as to how you have grown. How do you see yourself, and how have you grown from the time that you released that song to now where you released the new EP?
Yeah, I think from the first song to like these new songs on the EP, and then the songs that are kind of queued up to come out after, I think a lot of the earlier songs was me living vicariously through different people or seeing other experiences that other people had and writing about them as if I experienced them, versus I think everything I've put out recently, probably in the last 2 years, and then everything that's coming out after this EP and on this EP, it's everything that I've experienced. And I think there's no better therapy and like release than writing a song, especially the songs that are maybe a little bit more sad or personal. But then also on the wild songs, songs like that I put out a couple months ago called Alexis, Texas, and like some of these, and Shot for Shot that's on the EP, and like these kind of party songs, like being on the road and having these wild experiences and being able to write about them, I think was the biggest difference between those earlier songs and then the songs that people are hearing now. Is definitely, I think they're more believable because it's actually real, versus like Drive Away, I hadn't gone through my first like real big breakup yet. I was 19, right. And I was I was like, oh, this is just a love song, we're having fun, whatever. And I think also just a good dose of anxiety and depression will get you writing about some real shit, you know what I mean? That definitely helps.
Ain't that the truth? It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how that inspires you. Having anxiety attacks inspires everybody to. It's like the toughest thing, one of the toughest things to go through, because you have to like.
It's horrible, dude.
Yeah. So how did you find your sound? Because you have a very unique sound.
Thank you.
Very unique sound. So how did you find your sound?
I think it was a lot of trial and error of, I think, writing with, finding like a group of people in Nashville that I felt like really were able to elevate what I wanted to say and what I wanted to sound like. And also, I think a lot of it was getting better on the production front for myself because I either co-produce or produce all my music, as well as other artists in town and in Texas and stuff like that. But I think learning, like, taking more on the creative side of not being like, hey, there's this person I'm hiring to make this
Right.
song. I think being involved in all aspects, whether it be the songwriter, the production, or the mixing, and just continuously growing into what I want to be. So I think it's like, I heard Ed Sheeran say one time in an interview, which is like, every single song you write is like wiping a windshield that has mud on it. And each time you write a song, it gets a little bit clearer. And that really stuck with me. I heard it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, which is like, I hope this EP is not the best work that I ever put out in my life, but I'm happy with it right now, and I feel like it's honest. So I want to keep putting out music and hopefully elevating that song and that production and the relatability and everything like that.
That's insane because that's a different way of looking at things. It's one of those where it's like everyone wants to put out their best work every single time, but it sounds like you're an artist who keeps moving the goalposts for yourself.
Yeah, which is awesome, but also sucks because that means you're never really fully satisfied. Yeah,
that's where I was going with that. It's like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell?
And anxiety attack.
And anxiety attack. Here we go. This is where it happens again. Oh, okay. It's like it's great music you're putting out. It's one of the, like. So how do you make it greater? How do you? I go back to Taylor Swift when she did that whole documentary and she realized she wasn't nominated for any Grammys. Mm-hmm. She didn't blame anybody. She just went, okay, this means I have to make a better record next time. I don't understand when you see a person like that. It's like Reputation was a great fucking album. I don't understand. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand how can you make a better album than that? And then you're she's constantly moving the goalposts to where she's constantly building, and that's a lot of artists don't seem to follow that plan where it's. You know what I mean? Where you have to keep moving the goalposts for yourself. A lot of them, they release their best album, and then they repeat their best album over and over again.
Yeah. I think it's like a thing with knowing that it's like a craft. With the more time you put into it, and the more focus, and also like I'm very much a perfectionist, but also at the same time, like, not in a weird way, where like I want the thing I'm working on to be the best thing possible, but I also don't want it to stop the flow of the creativity and of just whatever it is right now. I think that's why music is so cool to me, is it's a time capsule of whatever that artist or that band was going through at that moment, and it's supposed to sound, and also I think having that more raw feeling to it where like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best vocal performance I did, but for some reason that you could feel the emotion of what I was saying. So I think there's different ways to look at like greatness, and I think ultimately for me the best song is the one that the most people like, that has the reaction on social media, and that's the way I gauge a lot of it, of like I might be like, I always want to be an artist that is true to myself, but also at the same time I want to make music that people love. I don't want to just make, if I want to do that, I'd be like a jazz musician, you know what I mean? Which I think jazz is awesome, but it's also like, it's the musician's music. I want to make music for the people.
Yeah, which brings me to, you were a badass lyricist.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
So, like, outside of music, though, what inspires your writing? Like, is there any books? Is there any movies? Like, are these lyrics coming from real life? I mean, they're coming from real life experience, but like, are they like coming from real life conversations where you're like, oh, that's a good title, or oh, that's a good line?
Yeah, I think pretty much all of them are. I think just going through different things. I haven't had the best dating history in the world. I can't seem to figure that out, so that's a good inspiration, and and I think also like my own battles internally with like we've talked about, like anxiety or depression or anything like that. I think just letting that out, and it always seems to be, if I look at the songs that the most people related to, it's always the songs that I was a little nervous to release because I was like, fuck, this is really personal to me. Like, I
Right.
hope that this gets perceived right, or even just being like, I've put out music where friends of mine or family members are reaching out being like, are you okay? You know what I mean? But I think I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I got it out. But I did feel like that at one point. And sometimes I do feel like that, but that's just kind of the thing I've accepted, which is in order to make great music, I feel like, or relatable music, is just being honest with yourself and being honest with the people listening to it.
Yeah, it's music is very therapeutic. So I'm glad that you're using it as your therapy, because I'm trying to figure out how people who don't write their own music use it as therapy.
Dude, I don't know. They're probably a lot happier than me, so good for them.
It's insane, because it's just one of those where it's like, are you just trying to sell this? Like, did you really have this issue? But if you're writing your own music, then you're not. It's unveiling a layer of you that's really hard to show.
Yeah, totally.
It's really hard to show, and men, we have a hard time showing our emotion.
So true. So true.
But yeah, so we're gonna wrap this episode up, but I want to ask you one more thing, because I know that you don't have any collaborations on this at all, which is great. But if you could collaborate with anybody, dream pick, who would it be? Alive or dead?
Man, I think I have one in the country space and one in the rock space.
All right.
I think dream collaboration in the rock world would either do something with Scott Stapp from Creed, or do something with Nickelback. Those are like my two, or Goo Goo Dolls. I don't know, Johnny Resnick, Goo Goo Dolls. Like those three for rock. And I think with country, man, that's a little harder. I think. Obviously, if Johnny Cash was alive, I think that'd be so cool, just because he's a legend. But someone who's alive in the country space, I think doing something with Keith Urban would be sick. I love his music. I have a lot of first time experiences with things listening to Keith Urban music, which is weird. I don't know, maybe, but it's also good. And then, I love one of my homies, Bailey. Like I love what he's doing. So maybe down the line, if I can figure out how to sell tickets like he does, then maybe doing something with him would be cool,
It takes time. It takes time. It'll happen for you. It'll happen for you.
I
but
appreciate it.
Keith, I think Keith Urban is a unique one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he does have a little bit of rock style guitar playing in him.
Yep. So true.
So that's crazy. That's insane. That would actually be a really cool collaboration, because it's something he never does.
Yeah, so true. You'd have to be really doing something that he likes to be a part of it. So
exactly, it'll happen. Well, this has been a great episode. Catch us next week with the one and only Eddie